All right. Okay, so again, I just let everybody know I am gonna keep everyone muted until the Q&A at the end. And then we'll unmute, or you can, if you don't want to talk, you can actually just put in the chat your questions. So we are recording, so I can put this out on the web so others can watch it later. My name is Julie Adamick. I'm the director at John Hancock Charter School, and we are excited to have our first virtual parent meeting for our Eagle Mountain campus. So this is fun. I wanted to kind of start with just our origin story a little bit, tell you a little bit about John Hancock and the history of our school, and then we can go into like curriculum, our program of instruction, progress on the building. That's always a question. Uniforms, volunteer, how we communicate, and just kind of go from there. So John Hancock, we are in our 21st year here in Pleasant Grove. We opened our doors in the fall of 2002. Our founders and myself were originally part of the movement that started the charter school movement in Utah. We, in 1999, saw a need for a choice within public education, and we started working with legislatures and lobbying them to write the charter school legislation. And so as a group, we went up and we worked on that together, and we got that passed. And then we broke into 3 separate schools at that time, and we wrote 3 different charters. We were approved in the fall of 2001 by the State Board of Education. We were first on the agenda, and so I claim we're first charter school in the state of Utah. It took about 2.5 hours of questioning from the state board. And I answered all those questions. And then when it was the other 2 schools' turn, it was like 10 minutes each. So I'm like, we get to claim we're number 1. So we're the first official charter school in the state of Utah. And we've been operating here in Pleasant Grove for, like I said, 21 years. Our founders and myself have served as charter school advocates, helped form legislation and continue to lobby legislation every single year. We're up there right now lobbying for charter schools. And I served on the state charter school board for a number of years. We were founding board members of Utah Association of Public Charter Schools, as well as I'm the serving president of Utah Charter Network. I've also mentored multiple schools along the way, and helped with mentoring directors, and just we have a vast knowledge of charter schools in the state, and just really have a strong program behind us. We felt really strongly when we began, and we've kept this model that students thrive in small schools. And so our existing campus, if you come by and take a look in Pleasant Grove, we are in a modular building with 180 students. We can't afford the economy of scale to build a building. So we've been in our modulars for 21 years, and we probably will be for another 21 years. Because that small population just does not allow for us to build a building. But we feel so strongly about that model, and basically the importance of every student knowing every child in their class and in the building, every student knowing every adult, and every adult knowing every student, because what we can do there is we can create magic, right? We build relationships, and these students feel safe to make mistakes and safe to fail. And learning is about feeling safe and having a place where you can pick yourself up and try again and try again and try again until you get it. And so that's why we are small and have stayed small for years. As we've been, for probably the last 10 years, we've talked about taking our model and providing it to more students and giving more opportunities to a broader student base, but we couldn't figure out quite how to do that and keep our model. And so we spent the last 5 years really digging in and doing our research and figuring out the best way to do that. And the way that we came up with is that we are going to create small schools within a school. So it's basically, you can think of it like Harry Potter houses if you want. They're like pods. And we will have 4 elementary schools with the same cohort of students in each school. So they're K through 6, and then we have 1 junior high. That will be a 7 and 8. So there's 5 small schools within a school. Each school has approximately 175, 180 students per school, 1 class per grade, K through 6, with a special ed room and their own special ed teacher and their own dean of schools that teach part-time as well. And that way the students get that cohort that they stay with from to 1st to 2nd to 3rd to 4th to 5th grade. And they build those relationships and that safety net where they feel safe in their classroom, and that climate of just always improving and doing your best in the power yet. We're not there yet, but we'll get there together. And so with this model, we're able to build a building because we have about 900 students in the building, but we at the same time are able to keep that small school feel and keep that small cohort of students with each other. And it's the best of both worlds. So we're really excited about that. Our students do have opportunities to meet with other students. Sorry, there we go. On their grade level at recess and lunch and those kinds of things, but for the most part they do stay with their same cohort. So sorry, I'm still letting people in the meeting, so as you see my eyes go back and forth, that's what I'm doing, so apologize. So that's kind of our model and what we're doing out there. Our curriculum, we use the core knowledge sequence. The sequence has a different cover now, but whoops, I know my virtual background is probably messing this up. Okay, well, it's the core knowledge sequence. There we go. You can look at core knowledge at coreknowledge.org. I will put that actually in the chat so you guys can look that up. There we go. Everything in our curriculum is transparent. You can go download it. It's completely free. And you can download and take a look at everything that your child will be learning from kindergarten all the way through 8th grade. It is broken up into social studies, language arts, math, and science, as well as the visual arts and music. So all of the, sorry. There we go. So all, you guys still hear me, right? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, good. I just want to make sure. So what we love about core knowledge is it creates a culturally literate child. They know about history, they know about science, they know about time periods of music and visual art. They know about artists and composers, and they learn real meaty content. It's like in 1st grade, our 1st graders learn about the Tigris and Euphrates River and Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. Now, we don't expect them to master that. They're in 1st grade, but what we do expect them to do is learn about it, hear it, and then later in life, when they hear it again, it's something that they'll remember. It will stick. Oh yeah, I remember learning about that once. If you don't have prior knowledge, content doesn't stick the same. So we like to think of it as Velcro, right? We're putting Velcro on their brains, and when they learn about it later, it's going to stick better. And so they have a wide variety of topics that are introduced to. And like I said, it's all very transparent. You download it and have a copy of it yourself and know exactly what's being taught in the classroom. We feel very strongly about the arts. We consider ourselves a STEAM school. That's the science, technology, engineering, and math, but we throw the arts in. So there's the A for STEAM. All of our students take general music. It's part of our core knowledge sequence. And then in third grade, they all learn the violin. We provide that instrument for them, and they do have to share, to check out, to take home and that kind of stuff, unless you want to buy your own. But we provide it, so there's no need for you to purchase one. Music is math. It helps with math. Music teaches endurance and grit and sticking with something. When you're not good at it at first, you're going to have to keep practicing and practicing. It teaches us, like I said, self-discipline, teamwork, working with your the other people in the orchestra and in your class, and staying together, right? And creating something beautiful. It's just, it crosses the midline. So playing a strings instrument crosses the midline. And we know when you cross the midline, it connects the two hemispheres of the brain together. So there's so much good brain science behind why we use music. So that's one of our programs. And then art, we're a Beverly Taylor Sorensen Art School, which means that we receive a grant from the state for our visual arts teacher, and helps pay for her salary. And she is phenomenal. And we're going to have her out there, and a couple other art teachers as well. They work with the teachers, and they make sure everything is cross-curricular. Even in music, they do the same thing. So if fourth grade studies the kingdoms of Africa, so in art they might be making African masks, and in music they might be learning about African music and drums. And so it's all cross-curricular, and it all works together. And so it's a beautiful thing, and the kids really enjoy it. We work hard and we play hard. So we have lots of celebrations. We do things like Renaissance Feast for our 5th, 6th, and 8th graders, because they all studied the Renaissance. We do Colonial Days for K through 4, because they all study colonial, the colonies, the 13 original colonies, and the founding of the United States. We do the 2nd grade does a Chinese dragon parade through the hallways, because they study China. And on the Chinese New Year, we always have a parade, and they go in every classroom, and everybody claps, and they're excited for them. We do a Viking raid. Our 3rd graders study Vikings, and so we do a little Viking raid. It's like a treasure hunt type thing. We find connections, and we do celebrations with the curriculum, and it just makes it come alive a little bit more for our students. So we work hard and we play hard. Sorry, let somebody else in. We're a standards-based school, which basically means we don't give letter grades. We give progress towards the standards. So the standards are the skills that they learn, and core knowledge is its content. And we marry the two together, and you get basically the students are still showing and learning those skills, but they're learning it in conjunction with their core knowledge sequence, with their social studies, with their science, with maybe music, or with poetry, or a novel, right? And so we give progress reports every term. We do it every term, and it will show the standard, and it will show what they're working on right now and where they fall. If they've got it mastered, it's green. If they're not mastered and they're almost there, it's yellow. If they're not there yet, it's red. And if it wasn't assessed, it's just it's blank, basically. But for elementary school especially, it just makes more sense to measure their progress than it does an arbitrary letter grade that really doesn't mean anything. And so we love having volunteers in the building. We love our parents. It's not mandatory. You do not have to volunteer. However, we love for you to come on in or help in any capacity. Any parent volunteers that might be one-on-one with students, we do require a background check. And it is a live scan, which means that if you get arrested, I get a text. So fair warning. So it is something where we're able to ensure that our students are safe at all times, right? Safety is really important to us, of course, and we want to make sure our kiddos are always safe. We love, though, for you guys to come in and help observe, just be part of your students' educational experience, because we truly believe this is a partnership. They're your children, but that bridge between home and school has to be strong for us to be able to be effective. And your students know when you're involved in your child's education, and they're more vested in their own education. And so we just will use you in any way we can. We are looking for opportunities starting in the spring where we can get the kids together and start interacting with each other and having some like days at the park and just some competitions and some fun things that they can start meeting each other. So we build that camaraderie before school even starts. So we're going to be doing that. Watch for information on that through the newsletters. We will be sending those out at least twice a month. I'm trying to do those once a week, though, just to keep you informed on what's going on and like the progress of the building and that kind of stuff. That's always a question. Are we going to open on time? So right now, I'll tell you, yes. We have construction meetings once a week with the construction team. They are actually ahead of schedule right now, which is great news, even with all this weather. So we're thrilled. All the materials are out there already, like the steel beams are there, the rafters are there, the stairwells there, the stairs are there, the foundation's laid, the concrete, it's all been backfilled, concrete's curing right now. And then they're getting ready to start putting walls up. So it's exciting. We do have 2 contingency plans in case something weird happens and we don't open on time. One would be to push school to start after Labor Day. It's not ideal, but it is very doable. We would just have to go into summer a little bit if we do that. And our first year we opened our doors in 2002, we had to do that. So it is an option. And that's our first contingency plan. Our second contingency plan is online learning. I don't like that one as much, but it is there. It is one of the plans. If we need to do it and need to implement it, we can. Like I said, it's not my favorite, though. I would rather actually even just wait if possible. But right now, as of today, knock on wood, my desk, there we go. We're on schedule. So we're doing well there. Some of you don't know where the building is, and I totally get that because you can't find it on Google Maps. So I'll tell you briefly where it is, and then you can go take a look. So if you're going on Eagle Mountain Boulevard and you get to the roundabout down in City Center and you just keep going south towards Facebook, there is, before Facebook, there's a road called Tiffany Lane. It used to end at Eagle Mountain Boulevard, but it has now been completed and it goes up the hill. So it goes east and up the hill. And if you, right now I heard it's closed because they're doing utility work there, but it is paved, but it's closed right now. But if you turn on Tiffany Lane, you head east. So going south, you turn left, you go all the way up the hill, you'll see the construction up there. The equipment's there and the building, you can see the building, well, the foundation of the building. If you can also go from the roundabout, instead of going south, you can go east and go straight up the hill and turn on Lake Mountain. And then on Lake Mountain, you can you're turning south. So you're turning right. Sorry, I have to think. There is a small section of that road that's not paved. You will off-road it for a minute, but then it's a small section. So it goes paved, unpaved, paved. Keep taking it till you hit Tiffany, and then you'll see the school as well. So we're kind of south. We are southeast of the roundabout. Okay. I do have a question here. I'll come to those in a second. I'm almost done. Let me just cover uniforms real quick, because that's also one that most people do, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Uniforms are pretty easy to find. You can find those just about anywhere. Children's Place, Old Navy, Target, Walmart, French Toast, you name it. They're just about everywhere right now. You can find them anywhere. The bottoms are navy blue or khaki bottoms, as long as there's no cargo pockets, like the big cargo pockets. But other than that, they're approved. And right now we just approved joggers, as long as they're not sweat material. They're real pant material, but they have the elastic at the bottom. So those are approved as well. The other option for bottoms, for the girls specifically, they can wear skirts in the khaki or the navy, or we have the plaid. So they can wear skirts, jumpers in the plaid. They can wear, the girls have the polo dress as an option. Boys just have the pants or the shorts, basically. That's their only options for bottoms. And then the polo shirts for the whole school, everybody can wear white or everyone can wear navy. And then depending on what school you're placed in, you get one more color. So if you're in the yellow school, you get yellow. If you're in the green school, you get hunter green. If you're in the blue school, you get light blue. If you're in the red school, you get red. And if you're in the junior high, you get black or gray. And so there are additional colors that you can add to the navy or the white. We do not have Monday uniforms out there. They're always welcome to also wear the white button-down shirts. That's also always approved. So it can be a polo or a white button-down. And then on Fridays, they're allowed to wear the school t-shirt. As far as outerwear, it doesn't matter what they wear outside, but in the building, they need to wear a blue cardigan or a blue fleece. And it just needs to be a solid blue. That way it's still uniform and it does not, you know, they're not wearing their hoodies with anime characters on it and that kind of stuff. I say that because my daughter tries it every morning. So I still have kiddos that I'm fighting on the same thing. So it's all good. They learn real quick though. It's all good. And then try and think of any other questions with uniforms. That's usually it. Okay, so I did pretty good. What I'm going to do now, I see, thank you so much for putting the questions up. I'm going to go down through the questions, but you're also welcome to unmute yourself at any time. Let me see if I have to enable you to unmute. Unmute yourself. So you're allowed to do it. So you can ask the question at any time, or you can type it in the chat. So the first question I see here, let me go up to the first. What security is like in the school? Also for checking in a student in and out. Okay, so security, all the doors are locked except not locked, locked from the outside. We can get out in the case of an emergency, but nobody can come into the school unless they come through the front doors. The front doors will have a, what do you call those? I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but you have a storefront, so that you go in and there's locking doors. When everyone's coming into school, both sets of doors will be open, but throughout the day, the one set will always be locked, and any visitors have to go through the office and get beeped in basically, and check in, and then they're allowed to go through. So we do have security cameras inside and outside the building, and all visitors are checked and background checked if they're working with students. I think for the most part, we practice fire drills and earthquake drills and safety drills, but that's the gist of it. If you have any more questions, you can email me, or if you want to type more into the chat, I'm happy to expand on that if you need more. With there being 4 elementary schools and only 1 middle school, is the lottery to see who gets? No, because the middle school actually has 100 seats for 7th grade and 100 seats for 8th grade. And each of the elementary schools total equal that 100 seats. So if all of the, hold on, I gotta let somebody in, guys. So if all of the graduating 6th graders go to 7th grade, they all get in. It's an automatic. If there's some that choose not to go, then we do hold a lottery for open positions, but we have it built in, so all of our graduating 6th graders can go automatically to 7th and 8th grade without having to worry about that. Good question. I should have addressed that one. They're all good questions. Did the class sizes truly cap at 25 students? So that's our goal. Every once in a while we get twins or something weird like that. And I'm getting a lot of pressure from the state right now to over enroll by 2 in case people don't show up that first day. We may or may not do that. If I get your registration with your documents and we see you, I'm not going to over enroll because I can justify to the state, no, they've registered. I have documents, I have birth certificates, I have immunizations. They're committed, they're coming. But if I don't get that stuff, it's going to be harder for me to argue that with the state. So that's our goal, is 25. We want to cap it at 25. That's what we don't want that more for our teachers either, or the students in the class. It's not good. Our teachers are really a broad span of experience. We have some with 17 to 20 years experience and some that are coming out of college. That's actually the best mix, is to have a variety of beginning, middle, and mid experience and very experienced teachers. We don't want all new and we don't want all experienced. We want that mix so they can learn from each other, collaborate with each other. They are all licensed in the state of Utah. They've all have the correct credentials for teaching whatever they're teaching. So for example, the state mandates a certain license for kindergarten, first, second grade. They will have the early childhood license. So they're amazing teachers. You'll love them all. I love them already. Some of them we are bringing from here, and a lot. I've been around a long time, so I know a lot of teachers, and I'm recruiting teachers from my 20 plus years in charter schools. The next question was, with Utah having 9th grade and middle school, will there ever be a possibility in 9th grade offer at John Hancock with siblings be kept in the same school? Okay, the 2 questions. So I'll answer the first one. 9th grade starts high school, and it really diminishes, I feel, from the program when you have 2 different programs. To do it right, you need to be either a high school or you need to be an elementary school. The high school requirements are so stringent, and it takes away from your elementary program. And your school grade is actually based off of your highest, once you have high school, your highest grade level. So for us, our entire school grade would be based off our 9th grade scores, which just doesn't make any sense. They won't take into account any of the younger grades. And so for us, there's just more risk than it's worth doing. We recognize that that's an issue for some parents. So we have articulation agreements in place with some of the charter high schools, and you can move into those high schools. Unfortunately, they are on this side of the lake. They are on the other side of the lake for you guys. And we're trying to come up with some ideas and solutions for that. But most likely, at least right now, there's not plans for a 9th grade. We've been operating for 21 years without a 9th grade, and our 8th graders do really well going into 9th grade. They succeed and do great. And so, we've got 21 years of history that it can work. I know it's hard for some families, but right now our plan is to stay K-8. And then we'll siblings to stay in the same school. Yes, that's why I said it might be a little tricky with that 25. It might be 24 in one class to make sure keeping families together. We're doing the best we can on that. But that's our goal, is to keep families together. We might have to separate a family here and there, but our goal is to keep them together as much as possible. We have applied for the school lunch program. We're in the process of getting that application through with the state right now. We have a kitchen facility in the building, and we anticipate being able to open our doors with the school lunch. So we want to be able to provide breakfast and lunch. So that is new for us. We've never done that. Does enrolling in JHCS automatically unenroll children from current school? No, it will unenroll them though this summer. So enrolling right now, all you're doing is securing your position, and then you sign that transfer of records form for us. We don't send that until school's over. So that happens in June. So we send all those transfer records in June. We get those hopefully in July. That's what we're hoping for. Cross our fingers. That's sometimes hard to get from the schools, but no, it does not automatically unenroll them. However, you cannot continue to be enrolled in 2 schools at once. It's against state law. So once the summer comes and, you know, if you don't want to be at John Hancock, you need to let us know. So we don't request your records and you're not dual enrolled at the other school. So once we request the records and we have them, it's officially at that point they're enrolled at our school, and you can't, at that point they are unenrolled. Okay. So it only in the summer will that happen, but that does happen then. Do you allow exemptions on the immunization policy? Just the same ones that are already allowed. So you can go to the county health department and go through the exemption procedure and get it approved through county health, and then that meets the qualifications for immunizations. You can call the county health department if you have any questions on that. They'll walk you through that. Okay, so I have a kindergartner who initially signed up to go to the Eagle Mountain location. Can we switch from the Eagle Mountain location to the Pleasant Grove school if it's closer to us? We're in Lehigh. No, unfortunately, because we have more openings in our Eagle Mountain campus. We have 100 kindergarten openings, whereas here we only have, I think, 7. And you can see, because of our own siblings coming through, that to switch would be really difficult. So you would have to go through the lottery for our Pleasant Grove location to get into the Pleasant Grove location, just like you had to go through the lottery for our Eagle Mountain location. Our current school requires visitors ID. Yeah, so when they check in, they get a badge that they have to wear. And that is in the office. So they have to go through, they go through those front doors, and they can't go through that second set of doors. They have to go through the office, and they get a badge and they sign in before they're allowed in the building. We've had a bit of a problem with students theft at my kids' elementary school. Will students be allowed to bring their backpacks and keep their possessions with them? Or if not, will secure lockers be provided? So the 7th and 8th grade have lockers. The other grades have cubbies in their classroom. So their backpacks will remain with them in their classroom, in their cubbies. That's unfortunate. That's all I have to say. We rarely have those kind of issues because of that small cohort. There's just more eyes and more people paying attention, and I don't know, but the 7th and 8th grade do have lockers. The others will have them with them in their classroom. When will kids know who their teachers are for the school year? We anticipate being done with hiring, hopefully the end of March. And in April, those gatherings that I was talking about, we're hoping to have teachers at those gatherings so they can start meeting their teachers. School will start, it is being built right now, yes. And school right now, our start date is August 15th. I don't remember if it's a day before or after Alpine, but we're 1 day off of Alpine. But our start date right now is August 15th. Landscaping goes in August. I'm a little worried about dirt, but I'd rather be in the building and worry about dirt than not. So landscaping is the last part, and that is scheduled to be in August. So it might be a little muddy. Hopefully it's dry by then. It's been such a wet winter. And yes, it's supposed to be finished by the fall. We are ahead of schedule right now, so we're doing great. So they can pick a different, okay, the question is, you mentioned everyone learns violin. Can they pick a different strings instrument? They start with violin. Everyone starts with violin. They do, by about 5th grade, they can try out for cello and bass. We only have a few cellos and a few bass, so it's try out only. If you want to rent an instrument or provide your own cello by about 5th grade, they can make the switch then. What limits us is the number of instruments we have. And so it is a tryout basis. But if you want to provide it, we have parents that do that all the time. I actually provided my son when he was in 6th grade, one of my sons, bass. We rented a bass. He wanted to play bass, and I'm like, I'll just rent the bass, and we kept it at school. So it's up to you guys what you want to do on that. So we prefer that the Gab watches stay in their lockers. or in their backpacks during the day. So they could have their gab watches after school. We're fine with that. While they're waiting for carpool and that kind of stuff. If we go like a weird, like all day field trip, like this 5th through 8th grade, we go to Lagoon because of physics day at Lagoon for science fair. So we go up there. Those days are kind of unusual. The kids do have their cell phones with them when we're gone all day like that. But otherwise, we really want their technology in their backpacks and just not something that they're on all day. Yeah. So what other programs, curriculars are there are used on top of core knowledge sequence? Right now we use Saxon Math. However, Saxon is no longer being published. It makes us so sad. So we are in the process of adopting a new math curriculum. We've narrowed it down to Envision Math and Singapore Math. We should have a decision hopefully by the end of this month, if not mid-March. But our math committee is going through and meeting with other teachers, the vendors, going through the curriculum. Yeah. And then on top of that, we use CKLA for language arts, but that's core knowledge. So CKLA is core knowledge language arts. It's pretty much our language arts, pretty much it's core knowledge in our math program. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, 7th and 8th grade, there might be, oh, well, no, okay, art. I didn't mention art, but art is core knowledge too. And our makerspace, and our makerspace is tied to core knowledge. So makerspace is where we have the, like the 3D printers and a laser cutter and toothpicks and styrofoam and cardboard and Lincoln logs and Legos and just all kinds of things. And the kids take what they've learned in science and they go into the makerspace and they get to support what they're learning elsewhere. And sometimes it's social studies they're supporting, right? And so they get to have competitions, egg drop competitions, who can build the structure that's going to prevent your egg from breaking, or which team can create the bridge that holds the most weight, those kinds of things. So but that's also all related to core knowledge. 7th and 8th grade will also have, well, we have PE, everyone has PE. And then CCA, which is also CTE, college and career awareness, which used to be CTE was careers. I don't remember what CTE, technology education, I think it was, but that's a required class for the middle school. So they have that. And then based off of the skills of the teachers we hire, we'll have electives based off of that. So so the charter high schools, specifically the ones that we have articulation agreements with are Mazer Preparatory Academy, they're in Linden, and then UCAS, sorry, they're in Provo for 9th and 10th grade, and then on the UVU campus for 11th and 12th grade, and they graduate with their associate's degree before they graduate from high school. And so we have articulation agreements in place with them. Rockwell is out in Eagle Mountain. And then the Summit Academy is not far. They're in kind of that Draper area, the high school. And Harriman has, oh my gosh, why can I not think of the name out there in Harriman right now? The name of that school. I know their director very well. And I'm having a moment. I'll think of it in a second, but Harriman has a great high school as well. So there's those charter high schools, but our articulation agreement right now is with Mazer and UCAS. Extracurricular clubs, not necessarily. The cities do a really good job for the sports and those kind of things. The things that we do extracurricular are like the geography bee, math counts competitions, spelling bee, science fair, those kinds of things. So they're more academic in nature and not necessarily the sports, because the cities do a great job at the sports. And so the junior jazz and those kind of things, they do a great job. So homework, what does homework look like? We believe everyone should be reading every night. So reading is part of our homework policy. Everybody needs to read before going to bed. It's good practice. It's good for our brains. It's just part of being human. So everybody should read. Kindergarten through third grade has math. Well, actually all grades have math every single night, but it's just review of what they learned that day. And it's a small number of problems. It's not the entire assignment. It's just review of what they learned that day. Keep it fresh, especially if you do it right before bed. It really helps with that transfer of short-term to long-term memory. And so it really helps them to just practice, and especially like math facts or anything that they need to learn, just reviewing that right before bed is really good. Starting in fourth grade, they do sometimes have special projects like science fair in fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. That is going to be something they do once in a while. You know, we can't do that at school. Maybe a special project like fourth grade does, they build models of a medieval castle, those kinds of things. So they're special projects, but they're not ongoing. So homework for fourth through eighth grade is maybe a half an hour a night, right around that. K through 3, it's about 10 minutes per grade level is, and then on top of that is math or reading. Reading is every night on top of that. Right now for the extracurricular, we're not going to look to start those starting a new school. I've been through this before. I know how it is. We're not going to stretch ourselves thin. We'll look at it maybe in the future if parents are interested in helping with extracurricular. But at the beginning, we're just going to concentrate on getting our school culture right and setting expectations and just really making sure we start off strong, because how we start off is so critical. And so we want to just put all our efforts in that right now. Right now, no after school programs. Yeah, so the next newsletter that goes, okay, sorry, I should read the questions. I just assume you all are reading it with me. Bad assumption. Do you have photos or examples of the uniforms? I'm not sure what the joggers you mentioned look like. I totally get that. So watch for the newsletters. We're going to be sending the policy, and then we'll start sending pictures as well, and then links to where you can find them. Okay, so watch for those newsletters. Has it decided which school? It really starts with the upper grades and work down. So anyone in 7th and 8th grade, those siblings of the 7th and 8th graders will be in the 2 bottom schools because they start at the same start time. So the 2 upstairs schools start at 8:15 and end at 2:45, and the bottom schools start at 8:35 and end at 3:05. The reason for that is just to stagger carpool and help with the traffic on the street. We want to be good neighbors, and we don't want you guys waiting an hour for carpool. We want to be in and out in 15 minutes, and we know we can do it with that number of students. So that's how we determine. So it really starts with the middle school, and we fill the bottom floors, and then whoever's left over may end up in the upstairs schools. But that's how that's done. Yeah, so we our meals provided. So yes, we did apply for school lunch. Just we've going through that process right now with the child nutrition program at the state office. We don't have it at our Pleasant Grove campus, and we never will. This is unique to our Eagle Mountain campus, and so we're learning this process and we're going through it right now. But yes, we will provide breakfast and lunch. Okay, so this one is talking specifically about bullying. What we have found, so the question is there a policy for bullying? And yes, there's a bullying policy. And is there something leading up to expulsion? Like so many incidents before an expulsion or something like that. We do have an expulsion policy, and we do have a bullying policy. However, what we have found is that when you get the school culture right and you set expectations high, that bullying is limited, very, very limited. And if it does happen, it happens once or twice and it's over. We have very high expectations for our students. We learn as we use it as learning opportunities for them, and we really set those high expectations, and they rise to that occasion. We do not tolerate bullying, and as a result, because we nip it in the bud quickly, we have not seen it as an issue. We've been told in the past that a child might be coming to us with, that might have had experience being bullied elsewhere, and they come here and it's not an issue. So we're going to do the same thing there. We're going to set those high expectations, have those rules set school-wide, have specific policies and procedures in place, and have all the teachers trained on how to implement and deal with it. And actually, it's not just the teachers. We train everyone. We train recess aides. We train the custodian. We train the lunch workers, everyone, because everyone in the building can see something and they can intervene. And so they're all trained in that. So CRT, the critical race theory, if it's not in core knowledge, we don't teach it. So go download the curriculum. You'll see absolutely everything we teach. We feel very strongly that politics are not part of elementary education, and the child should never know the political leanings of their teacher or the adults in the building. That is not anything to do with what's happening in school. So it's not a problem for us. Yeah, so there are not programs identical to Saxon Math, which is our problem. We're very sad that Saxon is no longer being published. The two most similar are Envision in Singapore. Those are the two that we're looking at. We'll let you know as soon as we know which one we end up going with. So Lexia in our school is a tier 2 intervention and a tier 1 enhancement. So Lexia is provided for K through 3 by the state of Utah. And the students do use Lexia at school, and it is also something they can use at home, but it is not their primary instruction. What I mean by that is we have a language arts curriculum that we use, and Lexia supports that. It does not supplement or replace it. Okay, supplant it or replace it. It does supplement it. There we go. Sorry, used the wrong word there for a minute. Yes. Okay. So siblings, we're trying to get families together as much as possible. So siblings will have the same start time. That's why it's so important to us that we keep families together as much as possible, because they are different start times. And if they, for some reason, are in a different school, it would be the same start time. That is a huge priority for us. We don't want you sitting in the parking lot for 15 minutes. It's not good for you or us. We do know the status on full day kinder a little bit more right now. So I got notice yesterday that it looks like the legislation is going through. So they're going to allow the LEAs, which is the districts basically, and we're our own district, to figure out the funding. They're going to provide funding and then figure out how many classes we can afford with the funding they're providing. So right now it looks like we'll probably have at least one. I still have to go through that whole process and apply, but it looks like we'll get probably at least one full day kinder. And it may be by invitation only, because the way the state's doing it, there is some stipulations that it might be a student that needs some extra help that might qualify for that. And then after that, it might be open up to other parents that have special needs, that why they would request full day. We do hire teacher aides, but they're not, this year we are, we're providing special ed aides, and then teacher aides as needed. So if a classroom has a specific need, we may have a teacher's aide in there, or we may popcorn the aides in and out for language arts and math, but might not be assigned to them the whole day. So it's not like would they have an aide per classroom all day long. So it might be depending on the need of the class, or it might be that they popcorn in and out and come in and support the teacher and leave. And special ed aides will pull students in and out, and teachers. Those, okay, I think I went over that. So the same time request is going to be really hard for me until we can get families together. Once we can get families together, we might look at saying, okay, for carpool, we'll open it up. But first, our first priority is families. So as you can understand, that would be our first priority. Yes, the middle school students actually will have a middle school model. So they'll have a social studies teacher, a math teacher, a science teacher, and a language arts teacher, as well as they'll go to PE, music, makerspace, art, and then an elective or CCA as well. They get some coding, they get opportunities to participate in. We have a kindness committee. It's kind of like student council, but they're nominated by their teachers. We have yearbook. They get to take pictures of school events and help produce the yearbook. So those are all some opportunities that those middle schoolers get. Yeah, there's always going to be growing pains with the new school. We've done this once. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be some growing pains, but knowing that we've done this for 21 years and I've mentored many startup schools and many schools in school turnaround, I feel confident that we can get through this with little hiccups, as long as everyone's patient, nice, and kind to each other. Kindness committee, right? I mean, we just have to all recognize that everyone's doing their best, and everyone's best intentions are usually for their kiddos. And if we all work together, I think we're gonna find that we don't have as many growing pains as a traditional brand new startup school might, just because of the institutional knowledge that we have coming to us. Yeah, so the attendance policy, we need the kiddos at school. We need them when they're not sick, they need to be at school. We are not a worksheet school. We can't just say go home and do XYZ and you'll make up what you missed in school that day. They're learning with their hands, they're collaborating, they're talking to their peers, they're interacting with each other, they're outside making aqueducts, and they're doing all kinds of fun things that cannot be made up. So if they're not at school, it's really difficult. And so we encourage them to be here. If we notice it's being abused, and if there's an issue, we usually call and find out what's going on. But we do have in our policy that they might miss some activities there to help us and support us in making sure that our students are at school. Now, if there's an excused absence, that's totally different. You know, that we totally understand, especially post-COVID. Kids are, you know, we don't want kids at school sick. We don't want teachers at school sick. So, you know, that is a different situation than being gone multiple weeks for an extended family trip or something like that. We would encourage you to do those around our school holidays. We have spring break, fall break, winter break, and then we have multiple extended 4-day weekends throughout the year, and maybe attach a day or two to one of those so that they're only missing a day here and there if you're going to on a trip or you're going to grandma's house or something. Now, funerals are different. Again, you know, those kinds of things. We work with families. We just want you to be reasonable and us be reasonable as well. Again, assuming best intentions, right? We're all assuming the best intention. Okay, so kindergarten priority, yes. So most of the time there's not more siblings than there are positions open. Every once in a while it does happen, but most of the time all kindergarten siblings get priority coming in, and they all get in, and then whatever spots are left, like here we have 7 positions open for the fall next year. So we are holding a lottery for 7 positions because the rest are filled with our siblings. So it's the same thing. We fill with our siblings first, and then if there's any open positions after that, we do the lottery. So siblings will get priority. So if a student, a teacher, so the teachers specifically, the question here is, how do teachers work with students with ADHD? So that kind of goes to IEPs and special needs as well as 504. So I'll address kind of all of those at the same time. Our teachers are trained in different strategies and different engagement tools, and I call them tools because the teacher's got a tool belt and they can pull out what tool works with which kid, right? So they know that some kids have special needs, and they know some kids need to be challenged, and they know some kids need more support. And we work with those kiddos and we find what works for them. And sometimes it works for a week or two, and then we got to switch it up and try something different. I am sure you know that as a parent, that sometimes you'll try the job chart and it works for a month, and then you have to switch it up and try something else. And so we're always giving our teachers new tools and training on how to deal with that. And we collaborate with the parents and we ask what works well. You know your child more than we do. So we've got one kiddo right now here at school that he has two desks. One is for standing, one is for sitting, and he goes between the two all day long, depending on what he needs. And nobody questions him. If he's standing at his desk, he's standing. If he's sitting, he's sitting. We have wobble chairs for some students. We have fidget toys for others. We have multiple breaks throughout the day. Everybody gets 3 recesses a day. So we just do whatever the student needs. And yes, we do support their 504 and their IEP as it's written. And we do identify students as we go. If we notice that a student might qualify for a 504 or an IEP, we will reach out to you and start that process. Sorry, I'm still reading. Okay, so part of the registration process is providing the school the health needs. Kids, will those be sent in the summer since the school isn't completed yet? So in the registration process, you have a place where you can write down their needs. And so you can put that as you register, put down their physical needs, and we're already tagging those, sending them to our school nurse, and already working on that. So if you need to email Liz, I'm going to put her and let her know your child's physical needs, because you didn't put it in the registration. You can do that, and we're already in the process of getting those files going. Kindergarten is half day. We're hoping we'll have 1 full day, but our half day is an extended day. It's not a traditional district half day. So we go from 8:15 to 11:45, or we go from 8:35 to 12:05. Unless it's all day. And if it's all day, then it goes till the 2:45 or to the 3:05. Recesses are 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the break. The morning recess is typically 15 minutes. Lunch recess is typically 15 minutes, and afternoon is 10 minutes. So that's pretty much what I think it's going to be, is 15, 15, 10. Did we do it? 2 minutes to spare? Oh, okay. Well, okay, thank you. Thank you. I enjoy it myself, so I'm glad that this, worked out. You can always reach out to me. I'm putting in a, hold on. Liz and I are a little overwhelmed right now, as you can imagine, but there's my personal email address for the school. I gave you Liz's. You can reach out. You can also call the school. We also have standing school tours every Friday morning from 9 to 9:30 here in Pleasant Grove. If you want to come here, you can do that. And you just have to let us know beforehand. I have one Friday in February. I'm not here. I've got some job fairs I've got coming up. So just let us know, so we know you're coming. But other than that, it's in my schedule. So you're always welcome to jump in on those. So we do have a mental health counselor that provides support to our students as well as our staff. I can go into more of that with you, but we do have a mental health counselor that works and will work at both campuses. I'm looking forward to a great year too, everybody. Okay, okay, let me put the core knowledge link again. There you go. It's coreknowledge.org. And right now, the only music we're doing is, and not really right now, we do strings well. What we found in 20 years is that you have to decide what you do and what you do well, and you can't be everything to everybody. So we are a string school. That is what we do. So we will not be offering band. That we're a string school. You can't do everything. So anyway, I'm typing in the chat. Do you guys really not see it in the chat? No, we don't have choir right now. It might be something that the 7th and 8th grade have as an elective if we hire a teacher that has that talent, but K through 6 will be strings. They do sing songs though. Go look it up. It's in core knowledge. Go back to core knowledge, but they do sing songs in music. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's coreknowledge.org. I'm so sorry you're not seeing the chat. Okay. So my email address is Julie, Julie, at John Hancock, CS for charterschool.org. And Liz's email is Liz Hales, HALES, at John Hancock, CS.org. You can also call the school at 801-796-5646, or reach out on Facebook. We're trying to answer those too. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll post this on the website as well. Okay. You guys are amazing. We're excited. Thanks.